much of this, which I don't feel is all of that jarring or startling or shocking. There was really nothing that I read through, and of course I don't have the book yet, but nothing that I read through with the reports of what's in the book that really took me off guard. I would say the only thing that I have found shocking about this, and I believe in Seth Wickersham's reporting. Seth has been very good at this for a very long time. He was one of the firsts and the best to report on the Brady-Garoppolo conflict and what the Patriots are trying to decide there. This is the only thing that surprises me about this, is that it only took until a year after Brady left for the stories to begin leaking out. I say that because the Patriots, for all of their warts, were impeccable, absolutely impeccable about keeping everybody on point, on message, and secrets in-house. They were the best. They're the best I've ever seen at it. And I don't think I'll ever see anybody as good at it. I really don't. I was in that facility weekly for 4 years. I was at those press conferences, hearing what they said publicly, talking privately to other people, players, staffers, other journalists that had stories. I had a first-hand account and a front-row seat to the New England Patriots between 2009 and 2013 when I came here to CBS Sports Radio. That was right in the throes of the Brady-Belichick peaks and valleys and everything. And you could never, ever, ever get anybody to speak on anything, even off the record. You had some journalists who perhaps had some parts of a story but couldn't get it confirmed or couldn't run with it or couldn't do this or couldn't do that. But the Patriots were so good at keeping everything in-house. And a year after Tom Brady leaves, suddenly you have all of these anecdotes or stories or whatnot that are going to be spilled enough to make a book. So I think that's interesting. I don't think it means it's false. I don't think it means that any of this is created or fabricated. I don't. I think most of this is real, if not all of this is real, because I believe in Seth's reporting. He's been around that franchise for a long time. Other stuff that he's reported has absolutely become true and validated as time went on. So I believe most, if not all of this. I just had believed that, yeah, Brady could leave, but it'll take years for most of the stuff to come out. You know, it takes years for players or staffers or assistant coaches, what have you, to look back and finally feel some liberty to speak at this because it's far enough in the past. And this is still going. Belichick's still coaching. Brady's still quarterbacking. Robert Kraft's still the owner. You know, there's so much that is still right now warm. And usually you wait until the body gets cold for stuff like this to come out. But in terms of individual anecdotes, no, none of this really shocks me. None of this. There's nothing that, what could be said that I'd be like, oh my God, never saw that coming. At the end of the day, what the big takeaways are is that Belichick was cold, impersonal, even to Brady, that Brady was embittered by it, that Kraft had a headache on his hands every time he had to deal with the antisocial, quirky at best, problematic at worst relationship with Bill Belichick, that Belichick engendered tons of resentment and bitterness around the league from other coaches and other owners because they felt like he was cheating the rule book constantly, that Kraft is overwhelmingly consumed with his own PR and how he is viewed, but that all three of them had this ruthlessly maniacal competitive streak to where they could all deal with something as long as they were winning. They could all stomach everything as long as they were winning. And if they won, Bill's a jerk, fine, and Brady's a diva, fine, and Kraft is a PR darling, fine, and they all don't like one another or they all have to deal with one another, but they all will deal with it because they're winning, and that meant more to them than their own little islands. But I don't think that that's that shocking. By the end of it, it became untenable because they had won so much and it was so long, and eventually the appetite of Brady towards Belichick just evaporated. But you can see the appetite of Belichick for Robert Kraft is still there. And the appetite for Bill Belichick to keep being ruthless is still there. So really the only thing that changed was Brady was the one that broke it up, saying, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready. And if Brady said, I'm not ready, I don't want to leave the nest, it would still be going on right now, and we still wouldn't have any stories about it because it would still be the three of those guys in charge.